Welcome to EnVision Center News, where we discuss community impact and involvement with today's nonprofit leaders and philanthropists. All right, welcome. Thank you for being here today. And I have my guest, Paul Graves from the Geezer Forum, and welcome.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So I just want to have a little conversation with you about the Geezer Forum.
It's a fun event. I started the Geezer Forum in 2012, but it has some prehistory to it. In 2005,
30 a.m. It's 11:30 a.m., folks.
I guess it is. I have a smartwatch now, and it's smarter than I am. I started Elder Advocates in 2005 to follow up on the geriatric social work I'd been doing, because I wanted to give adult children, particularly adult children of older adults, a chance to kind of to better understand what the elder maze was all about. It was intimidating, perhaps more for the adult children than for their parents.
Can you tell me what you mean by elder maze?
Change in older age can be very complex. And because it involves Medicare, sometimes involves Medicaid, it involves health decline, both physically and cognitively. And those are scary things for most people, if they don't have a balanced approach to understanding, anticipating what could happen, and eventually what eventually will happen. Mm-hmm. So when I was in social work at the nursing home, I found particularly adult children would be overly anxious because they promised they'd never put mom in a nursing home. It's a very typical reaction, and it's based on false guilt most of the time. And so I decided that Elder Advocates would be a way of consulting with aging families, do some teaching about the aging process dynamic. And so I did that for a number of years. And then I began to think, maybe I need to start writing about this. And so in January of 2009, I started a column in the Daily Bee called Dear Geezer. I love sounds, word sounds, and finding the root meaning of words. Mm-hmm. And geezer kind of fascinated me.
All right, let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's a stereotypical perception, usually a negative one, crotchety, and usually male. Mm-hmm. And so I looked it up and found that it was a late 15th century English Cockney word that has as its root, and it means disguise. Disguise.
Okay.
And so I thought, well, then a geezer is somebody who's got a hopeful, youthful attitude toward life and simply lives in the disguise of gray hair and wrinkles.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
It works. Mm-hmm. It works. And so I began my own Don Quixote crusade to redeem that word. Mm-hmm. And so I began writing about the word. People would ask, well, how old do you have to be a geezer? And I was reluctant to give them a date because it would become kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. One day you're not a geezer, the next day you are. And that's not the way it works.
Okay.
So I began to say, well, if you're in your 50s, you're a geezer in waiting. If you're in your 60s, which I was when I was first writing this, you're a geezer in training. when I turned 70, I announced to my readers that I had that my training wheels were welded on, and I was going to be a geezer in training for the rest of my life. And I hoped that they would too.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so we kept writing, and then I realized I wanted to have more interaction with people.
Mm-hmm.
So in January of 2012, 3 years after I started the column, I started hosting the Geezer Forum. And it began with 20 people sitting around a table at in the community room at what was then Panhandle State Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And we just started talking about what was important to them as they were growing older. One of the first ladies that spoke up said, "I'm here to figure out what to do about my son who has terminal cancer." Well, that was a little heavier than I was expecting,
Mm-hmm.
but we did spend some time talking with her. She became a strong, regular supporter, participant in the forum.
Mm-hmm.
It ranged from that kind of heaviness to a man who was in his early 80s, was about 6'5", big, tall man, and he said, I'm still changing the oil in my car, but I'm finding it harder to get up. And there was a lightheartedness there. He was serious, but it was still, so the range of conversations really was quite wide.
Well, I love that. And I love how, you're having 20 to 30 people with 60 plus years of life experience all in one room and then no agenda. So it feels really nice to just be able to come, present yourself, and then to rely on others' experiences and to get some answers, or to even just have some camaraderie and empathy, maybe. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. The two basic dynamics that continue to be present with the Geezer Forum is learning opportunities
Mm-hmm.
and socialization. Isolation is obviously a significant negative in the lives of people as they get older. If they don't have ongoing friendships, family
Mm-hmm.
nearby, and a lot of older adults here in Bonner County do have family members who are elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, it serves multiple purposes. The freewheeling conversation lasted maybe 3 months, and then people started asking questions or wanting information on things that none of us had either experience or expertise or both. And so we started inviting people to come in who had particular skills. Maybe it was financial, maybe it was legal, and since that time we've primarily looked at using speakers to prompt conversation,
Nice.
to give information.
Mm-hmm.
So we're feeding into the geezer and training attitude,
Mm-hmm.
and people have continued to respond to finding out what resources are available for older adults in Bonner County, in Kootenai County.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we'll make reference to facilities or resources even in Spokane.
Yeah.
So just in the Northwest.
I'd love to hear about some of the organizations that you've had come and speak to your group and how those have been received.
Okay, the first one I want to mention is SHEBA, which is an acronym, Senior Health Insurance Benefit Advisors.
Okay.
It's a department or a division of the Idaho State Insurance Department.
Mm-hmm.
It focuses primarily on Medicare information, And from the first October that we were in existence in 2012, we've had what we call a Medicare enrollment forum. It happens just before October 15th, which is the start date for Medicare enrollment. It goes from October 15th to December 7th. And so we wanted people to have some pre-knowledge about Medicare. I think I'm probably right. Not too many years ago, when the baby boomers started reaching 65, it was announced loud and clear that 10,000 baby boomers every day would turn 65. I think that's nationally speaking. I think that's probably still true. Obviously, we don't have that many in Bonner County, but we do have baby boomers turning 65, and a number of times they have. We've been aware that they have come to the forum in order to learn about Medicare.
Nice.
Yeah. Whoever the speaker is from Sheba brings print information as well as oftentimes a PowerPoint presentation, and so it's good for the newbies coming into Medicare, but it's also good for those of us who have been on Medicare for any number of years.
Sure.
Because Medicare regulations keep changing, benefits keep changing. We keep reminding people to talk with an insurance agent. Sheba does not sell Medicare insurance; they're simply advisors. And but there are a number of insurance agents who specialize in Medicare, both here in Bonner County and in Kootenai County, and so it's just smart to find out what plans are available and go from there.
Yeah,
that's the one probably the one forum that keeps coming back year after year after year.
Nice.
We have a few other. We've had a elder law attorney for a number of years come and talk about elder law legal issues, about living trusts. How do you prepare your family with whatever estate you have, whether it's large or whether it's very small.
Right. Yeah, just getting that in order, getting comfortable talking about it.
Yeah. One of the less comfortable issues that we deal with in a variety of ways is end-of-life conversations.
Yeah.
But they're important. It may have to do with living trusts. It may have to do with guardianships or medical issues that may require what is oftentimes referred to as a do not resuscitate documentation from your doctor. So we talk a fair amount about medical issues. We have had on more than one occasion representatives from the facilities in our county that residential facilities, nursing homes, assisted living facilities, independent living facilities, some that specialize in cognitive resident issues, and those are important things for us to remember.
Yeah.
To deal with. We don't want to.
Right, of course.
We don't want to.
Of course. Yeah, it's kind of easy to put things out of sight and out of mind, but that doesn't really benefit us, does it?
No. We've had representatives from the emergency services in town come and talk about whether it's about heart or we've had them come and do kind of a mini CPR class. We're looking at I work with a small group of folks that we call ourselves a Geezer Forum Planning Group. In fact, this afternoon we're meeting to look at next fall, so that we can set up the forums that we want to have happen.
Great.
When I first started hosting it, we began meeting on a biweekly basis, every 2 weeks on the second and fourth Tuesdays. Then COVID came about in early 2020. We didn't close down entirely, but we almost. We did some Zoom meetings. They weren't nearly as successful for a variety of reasons, not the least of which older adults are not quite as
technology savvy. Yes.
savvy or willing to be.
Yeah.
But then when we opened it up again, our group decided to try going once a month, which we have done now for two seasons. Our normal season runs from September through May, just like school year. We're going to be talking this afternoon about maybe going back to twice a month, and there's almost no end to the possible resource speakers that we could have. Let me give you just a couple of things that we're looking at. This in September, this will be the third September that we start out by going up to Pine Street Woods.
Okay.
It was a smaller group than normal, but we've been giving ourselves permission to get in touch with nature again. We've had some good conversations and education about trees, about nature itself. We start at the parking lot. We walk up the main trail, and this year in September we're going to go up, and one of the foci will be the grant that Connexu Land Trust has gained in regards to disability and access.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it will be.
Excellent.
I think it will be. We want our participants to know that their gray hair and wrinkles is should not slow them down. Well, maybe slow them down, but not stop them.
Not limit them.
Not stop them. So we'll be doing that.
Great.
We're hoping to get an update from Clay Hutchinson about the Carousel project.
Very nice. Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. There, NAMI, the
mental health
health group, are starting a
clubhouse.
A clubhouse,
yes.
Big project for them, and we want them to introduce us to that project and talk about its possibilities for providing support and sometimes employment benefit for the folks who are struggling with their own mental health. We'll probably bring somebody in from the library to talk about lifelong learning and the different services that the library has. A lot of our folks are involved with library. Some of them are founders of the Friends of the Library that has been going on for for a number of decades. Anything to encourage mental stimulation, that social stimulation. We want to have Mayor Jeremy Grimm come in and talk about the city. I happen to be a former mayor of Sandpoint, and so I have a vested interest in our Geezer Forum community being civically aware, if not civically involved.
Yes.
And we want to talk about elder abuse issues, whether it's from from law enforcement or the area agency on aging, and they have an adult protective service office there, and they have been with us over the recent or past years as a way of reminding people that we need to continually be aware that there is abuse happening, whether it's physical abuse, economic abuse, emotional abuse, or scams of one kind or another. So we may even end up doing a series about elder abuse.
Yeah.
It's very important. One of the more popular recent forums that we've had has been when we've introduced a geriatrician into. She came maybe 2 years ago now. I'm losing track of time. Her name is Dr. Meg Skibitsky.
Oh, very nice, Meg. Meg is a supporter of our golf tournament.
Yes, I think I bet she is.
She's wonderful.
And she's been with us a couple different times, talking about a wide variety of older adult health issues. Big turnout last February when she talked about brain health and dementia. Dementia of all kinds is very, very prevalent in our community, like it is in every community.
Right.
And whether we're talking about people with dementia or the caregivers or a combination of both, those are important things for us to deal with, so that we can not only be aware but also exercise our compassion muscles. And
Absolutely.
Well,
you guys have a lot going on. Constant.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, it's such a great opportunity for these groups to get in front of an audience. So we appreciate that. The NAMI group getting to come and talk with you and to share what work they're doing. And, just all of these different avenues that we need audiences to know what we're doing. And you guys then can, it's so symbiotic, and it's lovely that you have this group that's getting together consistently and learning from one another. And, it's just fantastic. So, yeah. So you have your planning meeting tonight, and then do you guys send out a schedule to everybody for the year, or is it every month you just let people know that?
We try to, once we get things set up, and of course that'll be the first task after we've identified what we want to do, then we'll assign each other people to make contact with. Sometimes we send out an extended list into the next number of months, but every session that we have, we remind people. I have a mailing list that I send out, and remind folks that such and such is coming up, and a lot of the Dear Geezer columns are undisguised promos for the Geezer Forum.
Absolutely.
When I write, I try to every topic that we deal with at the Geezer Forum has implications in so many different ways, and so I start with those implications. Talk about whatever, if it has to do with art, if it has to do with a medical issue, if it has to do with, we did one years ago about downsizing, and downsizing is a big issue for people who have too much stuff.
Oh my gosh, everyone.
Yeah,
Everyone.
and so the column really begins there and then says, if you want to know more, here's what's happening at the Geezer Forum.
At the next Geezer Forum.
Yeah.
And are you growing in numbers?
It really depends on the topic.
Okay.
We've had, we normally get anywhere from 30 to 40 people, in general terms. But for instance, when Meg Skibitsky was with us in February, it was a hot topic, and we had 79 people there.
Wow.
It was a big
Wow.
crowd, and it was very responsive. We always encourage the speakers to be open for questions and answers, whether they're a single speaker or part of a group that are talking about a general topic. And so the response from the crowd has been, regardless of the numbers, has usually been very, very good. Good questions, usually pretty me-oriented or family-oriented. Here's a situation that
Sure.
we're dealing with,
Yeah.
kind of a thing, and those are absolutely appropriate
Yeah.
ways to ask questions.
So applicable. And then afterwards, what's the fallout after these meetings? Do you see a lot of groups getting together, or follow-up emails, questions, coffee dates? What?
Sometimes people will connect with each other in a way that they hadn't connected before, because suddenly they realize they have a common interest besides gray hair and wrinkles. Mm-hmm. And so, there have been some long-time friendships developed from this. I'm thinking particularly of a few folks who came to the very first session in 14 years, almost over 14 years ago, or 12 years ago, I guess. And they still have strong friendships, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and occasionally people will begin to talk with each other about their common interest. Sometimes I'll get some questions, and it results in some, a coffee visit, or a referral that they'll ask, who do I really need to talk to about such and such? Mm-hmm. And sometimes I even have the answer.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have an answer and you need more answers, sometimes the EnVision Center has answers for resources and connections, and we try to pride ourselves on being somewhat in the know or very in the know. Is there any way that we can support the work that you're doing and the folks that you're meeting with on a monthly basis?
Our connection, Katie, has just been within the last month and a half, and I very much appreciated knowing that EnVision Center has expanded. I was when Sandpoint Resource Center first began. The two men who started it, Rich Creetall and Dave Peets, were members of the congregation that I had been serving as a pastor.
Okay.
And so I was very much aware of their effort, years ago. And but the resource center has grown so much.
Yes.
And it's been good to see that, because you provide something of a I'm looking for the word, a gathering place for a wide variety of resources, and I'm just kind of reconnecting with that. And so as I learn more about what you have to offer, my guess is that we're going to be talking more, because some of the questions that I get about resources, I don't have all the answers.
Right. And sometimes we don't have all the answers.
No.
I mean, who does, right? And so it's gathering, it's talking, it's communicating regularly to fill in gaps, and then being very aware of, holes, right? We don't know the answer to this. How do we find it? And usually it's just through talking to one another,
Well,
right?
it is, and it's. I think one of the things that happens when we are able to talk with each other and look for answers together, that's when we realize that we aren't alone.
Right.
And that's sometimes emotionally as nourishing as finding an answer.
Absolutely. Angela, our resource specialist, will sit with clients, and we may not ever have an answer for them, but we know that the one thing we can provide is a listening ear, eye contact, a conversation, and just like some empathy, right? Like, oh, that's a hard place to be in right now, and you're not alone, and we'll look. You have somebody to help you, And I think that that's just really important. Whether the answer is what the person wants it to be or not, they know that they have somebody to go through it with and to listen to them and be seen and heard and held. So, yeah.
Yeah, we don't, we sometimes forget the importance. I was talking with a man a few days ago who's in, he says it's pre-dementia. I think it's a little bit further along than that. But one of the things that he was talking about in terms of his career was he had some good technical skills, but he had better people skills. He kept going back to that. And I know him well enough, not very well, but well enough to see that he does have people skills, and he's working hard to maintain those. Well, the best way to keep those people skills fresh is by using them.
Yep.
And that's what any kind of communication, healthy communication, is going to do.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Paul, I think we should wrap it up.
Okay.
Do you have anything that you'd like to add? How do people find you, and where and when are your meetings again?
Well, the meetings are at in the community room of what is now Umpqua Bank, right next to Tango Cafe. And for the last 2 years, we've just been meeting on the first Tuesdays. I think we'll probably go into that biweekly schedule, which means that we'll be using the fourth Tuesday of each month in the school year. We meet from 2:30 to 4 in the afternoon.
Okay.
And I have, let me give you my phone number and my email address. That's probably since I'm kind of the hub around what things happen, my contact would be the important thing. My phone number is 208-610-4971.
Okay.
My email address is elderadvocates. It's ELDERADVOCATES @nctv.com.
Okay.
I need a simpler email address.
That's a little tricky.
Well, it is, but I wanted the name to be there, and so I foisted it on myself.
Well, it works. And it's 12:03.
Who knew?
All right. Well, thanks for being here today, Paul.
Pleasure.
Yes.
Pleasure.
All right. We'll be talking to you soon.
Good. I hope so.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to today's episode. For more information, you can go to crecIdaho.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again soon.